Whatever you do, don't, don't, don't shop at Camping World. Do not buy an RV from Camping World. Don't buy an electrical strip from Camping World. Don't take your RV there for service. Do not go to Camping World or any of its subsidiaries. Oh, and if you are thinking of working for them, just don't do it. I promise you, you will regret it. And I'm not basing that just on my experience. I am basing that on the experience of those who I saw and witnessed with my own two eyes. Don't do it. Whatever you do, do not have anything to do with Camping World or any of its subsidiaries. It's for your own good, bud. It's for your own good. Hello, happy campers. It's Jeremy Petros with RV Pro Tips. Today, it's story time. I have been holding back on this for quite a long time. I actually don't typically want to use social media or this platform for anything negative, but I need to warn you, the people. And I'm going to be talking to two different groups of people today. I'm going to be talking to the RV community, those of you out there who enjoy the RV lifestyle and love to go camping, love to hook up the bumper pole or the fifth wheel or fire up the motorhome and hit the road and go enjoy the great outdoors with either just yourself or you and your family, hopefully. I'm going to be talking to that part of the community, and I'm going to be talking to those who work within that community. Those would be the people who work at the RV dealerships, the service departments, the supply chain that provides various goods that you need in order to enjoy the RV lifestyle. I'm going to be talking to anybody who would consider working in that field. Which I did for quite some time and enjoyed it a lot. Loved it. Probably one of my favorite aspects of my professional career were the years that I worked in the RV industry. I love the people that go RVing, and I love the people who promote the lifestyle by providing for it through the supply chain, as it were. So I'm going to be talking to both those people today. Those who are part of the RV community, who buy, sell their RVs, buy their own RV, sell their RV, trade in their RV, or those who obviously need to service their RV, or those who need to purchase various supplies that you would need in order to enjoy your RV. I'm going to be talking to those people, and then of course the people who might either currently work in that field or might consider working in that field. This is a warning of the strongest, most enthusiastic nature. Whatever you do, at all cost, you must avoid doing business with Camping World. And I'm talking about Camping World as the parent company, as well as any of their subsidiaries. They have had a number of them. When you're a big corporation like that, a lot of times you have an umbrella company, a brand, which would be Camping World proper, the big company. And then they have those subsets. Like in my case, I worked for a very short period of time for RV Washington, which was a subsidiary of Camping World. They also had another company, I think it was Freedom Roads LLC, so there was Camping World, Freedom Roads LLC, and then RV Washington, layers upon layers. And they do that to avoid lawsuits and liability and other various forms of risk. And I'm not suggesting there's anything wrong with that. Most big companies do that. Those layers provide insulation and protection from, like I said, any sort of liability. In this case, though, my experience with RV Washington and Camping World as the parent company was, wow, probably one of the worst experiences I've ever had in my life. And I got to tell you, as a consumer myself, as well as a career professional, I wouldn't ever want to see any of you have to deal with the ramifications of doing business with them, or even worse, working for them. So I'm going to share my story today. And again, I understand it's negative. It's not, it's not a fun thing, but I really feel that I owe it to you, the public, to know what these people are like behind the curtain, how they conduct business, how they treat their own people, and how they talk about their consumers. And none of it's good. It's all bad. So, like I said, whatever you do, please hear me out for the good of you, your wallet, your peace of mind, your family, what's best for you, your family, and certainly your life just in general as a consumer. Stay away from Camping World. Don't ever shop at Camping World. Never buy anything from them. And like I also said, whatever you do, don't ever consider a career or working in a job for Camping World or any of its subsidiaries. Um, so in my case, my story started. Uh, Let me just back this train up and just kind of tell you how this all got started with me. I was my primary profession is management. I'm a finance manager at a car dealership. I was working for Toyota and Mercedes-Benz of Bellingham, one of the greatest, most wonderful companies I've ever worked with and for. Awesome people, great management. The management team that I was a part of was amazing, super honest, very transparent. No funny business, no shady business, just clean, totally wonderful customer service, putting the customer first, putting its employees first, and knowing that by doing that, the profits would follow. Awesome company. I was happy there. Unfortunately, the flow of business wasn't quite enough to support the size of the management team, the number of managers that were on that team, and I kind of feel like they had one too many finance managers, business office managers. Um, but that's fine. It's not my call. It's above my pay grade. It was they were building for the future, so they put a team together expecting to increase their volume, which in that case would have been perfect. And it wasn't missing by a large margin either. I think we were, in my case, I was probably down, 10 or 15 cars a month would have probably got me to a point where I could have justified staying there. And to be honest, I wasn't at that point when Camping World came calling, literally. I wasn't looking. I just was hanging in there, a little frustrated that business wasn't quite that the flow of business wasn't as high as it needed to be to support me and my family. But it was a great job, a great company that I believed would get there eventually, and I just needed to be able to hang in there for a while. And that's where I was when the call came. So I was once again working for that dealership in Bellingham, Washington, and I got a phone call out of the blue from a gentleman by the name of Mark Sumner. Mark Sumner was the general manager of RV Washington, a subsidiary of Camping World. Used to be called Camping World. They changed their business model. What they were going to do here moving forward is consignment sales only. So they weren't going to do any, for the most part, any new RVs. They were just going to take in RVs from the public. People would bring their RVs into this dealership. They'd go through a process of appraising the RV. They had a consignment manager, and his job was to essentially put a number on it and get you to agree as the seller to the number that they would pay you, and then they would mark it up from there and try to get more than obviously what they offered the customer, or the person selling the RV. So it looked like a very interesting business model. I will admit that I was skeptical, but they called me up and made me an offer that was incredibly attractive. I had heard stories about Camping World that weren't very flattering, that weren't very positive. I brought all of that up in the interviews and the conversations I had with them. I told him, hey, I've heard that you guys take advantage of your employees. I've heard that you rig the pay plan so that it penalizes. It's a punitive pay plan so that you could very easily play with the books and penalize your management and short them each at various times and not pay them what they earned. I called them on that because that's been the rumor that I had heard, and they of course denied it. The pay plan was the weirdest pay plan I've ever seen in my life. It didn't really make sense the way that they did it. But I was assured that there were people throughout the company who were doing quite well with it. And I'm not a, yeah, I'm the kind of guy who believes in myself a lot, and I know that when I know what I'm working with, I can usually work to the pay plan, and that I end up turning out great at the end. So I kind of took it on as a challenge, and as skeptical as I was, I decided to go ahead and go for it. It looked to me like a really great opportunity. This looked like they made the change to the business model about a year before. It looked like they went through the roughest period, and that the everything from this point forward was going to be, gravy. And I just thought the potential was there. Could be the potential, could be there. So I went ahead, and so those are the things that I did. I like I said, I was very blunt with the GM, with the regional finance and business office manager, who was over several dealerships, and then that was Brett, and then Nick, who's I think the regional VP or manager of several stores in the Pacific Northwest, or somewhere in the West. Somewhere in the West. I don't know. I don't remember exactly what he oversaw, but I just knew he had a lot of stores underneath him. So I talked with them very openly, very candidly, and said, "Hey, I'm really concerned about this. I'll give you an example. One of the things that happens to a business/finance manager is when protection contracts like service contract or gap coverage, are canceled for any reason, that chargeback goes against the finance person or business manager that wrote that deal. That's normal. Most dealerships have taken a lot of that away and will only go out about a year. There's still a few dealerships out there that go what's called lifetime. So for the life of your job, anytime a chargeback comes in, you get that gets deducted from your pay, from your payable gross. And this particular setup with Camping World is they charge the department. So what that means is, and when you're the one who got paid for the contract, let's say you wrote the contract a couple years ago, they traded in their vehicle, or maybe it was totaled and in an accident or something. There's a reason for it being canceled. You got paid on it. It's prorated. It's a prorated refund. So whatever's left of the contract, they get a refund, which is good. It's the way it should be. But those chargebacks hit your pay. In this case, Camping World charges the finance/business manager who never got paid on it. So these were contracts that got canceled, or contracts where somebody else got paid. Somebody else was paid for that contract. Years go by, or maybe it's just been months. I don't know. You're just starting out. It's been months. And they get a refund. That chargeback now goes against a person who never got paid for it. I got to tell you, I haven't been able to find anything super for sure about this, but the people I've talked to in the profession believe that that's incredibly illegal. You can't charge somebody for something they were never paid for, which is exactly what they're doing. So, like I said, I was very skeptical about that. At the same time, I did the math on it, and it seemed to me like at this point in the age of the dealership, that a lot of that would have already transpired, and there would be fewer and fewer of those that I would get hit for as the new finance manager. I wasn't too terribly worried about that, and I was able to get a concession so that for the first 3 months, there wouldn't be any chargebacks at all. And then the general manager, Mark, even said that he claimed that he controlled the flow of these things, and that We'd see how things were shaking out over the 90 days. And then after that, he told me that he could go even longer to 6 months or maybe a whole year. So that's what I was being told. So essentially, I was being told, no, we don't screw over our employees. No, that's not going to be a factor for you. And then lastly, they offered me what they claimed was one of, if not the highest pay plans in the company. So it started out here, and by the time we talked and negotiated, they gave me a much better pay plan, a higher percentage, a higher commission. So, like I said, it seemed like a good choice. So I left a job that I really enjoyed, that I really loved, that was taking very good care of me as best it could, given the market conditions. And I went to this new gig with Camping World / RV Washington. I was there. Now, within the first days of being there, I realized that I had walked into a shitstorm. Sorry, there's just no other way for me to say it, no better term to use. It was the people that were there before me had left an absolute disaster. So I had to jump right in and start just cleaning up the mess that they had left. Funding delays. These are contracts that were written that never got funded by the banks. All kinds of mistakes with paperwork, and just a big mess. And I jumped in there. I started cleaning it up right away. Got it going well. And then there were also a bunch of deals that were coming in from the previous month that were just hot garbage, just horrible deals. I mean, I'm like sitting there going, I just deals you couldn't, in my position, I couldn't do anything with them. There just wasn't anything I could do with them at this point. And I just had to handle them, process them, and move on. By the second week there, I started to hit on all cylinders, and we started to get some deals that I could really sink my teeth into. And within a very short period of time, so within just a couple weeks, I blew the department up in a good way, and started doing a really strong production right out the gate there. As soon as I started getting some deals that I was involved in from the start that weren't new, that weren't carryovers from the previous month, and did incredibly well, and then right about the third week of that month. So again, this happened very, very quickly. I was there for 1 month. Halfway through the month, I get a phone call from another dealership, similar to when Mark Sumner called me. This was the owner of another dealership, a minority owner, a VP of operations. He gives me a call and says, "Hey, I heard you're an incredibly strong finance and business manager, and we've got a position open here, and we really want to bring you aboard." And they started promising me a lot of wonderful things, better work environment, better hours, more laid back, less stress, just a better all around situation. And having been at Camping World RV Washington now for a few weeks, I started to see the writing on the wall that this business plan that they had wasn't a very good one. And I could see that the consignment manager was taking advantage of people. Let me give an example. I'll get to that after this. You just got to be really careful when you're doing consignment, because I'm going to tell you right now, that's a seriously rigged situation. And I'll get back to that here in a minute to give you, again, some behind the scenes, behind the curtain information. But so this gentleman gave me a call, said, "Hey, I want to meet with you, and I think you'd be a perfect fit for our dealership, for our family here." And so I went with that and checked it out, and my gut, my instincts were screaming at me, you gotta walk away from this situation over here, because this is not sustainable. It's just not. The stress level, the pressure, the business practices. This is a dirty pool that you're swimming in, and you need to get out. And I just kind of looked at that phone call from the other dealership as an answer to prayer, and as an incredible blessing, a door that God was just opening for me and my family. And I just had a feeling, just a really strong feeling that this is what I need to be doing. So I went ahead and accepted that position, gave my 2-week notice at Camping World / RV Washington, and So for the next 2 weeks, they tried everything they could to get me to stay. Offered me even more money, offered me a huge pay increase, much bigger percentage, just threw everything they could at me to try to get me to stay. And I said, look, I really appreciate the offers. I can't thank you enough for that. It was all amicable. They're like, I said, look, all I want to do is make sure I'm not burning any bridges here. I just want you guys to, make sure you pay me what I'm earning right now. So here I am in the middle of a month and I'm putting up just gigantic numbers. I said, just don't screw me on my paycheck. Make sure you pay me for everything I'm doing right now. And you never know what the future will bring. Maybe down the road, I'll come back. Because at this point, it was the winter. This was in the middle of winter, and the RV business is definitely a lot slower during the winter time. So it's off season. So they're like wanting to make sure that we kept that bridge in place, because who knows, maybe in the spring or in the summer, they can woo me back or whatever. That was the talk. So they offered me a ludicrous amount of money, a much bigger pay, and we're saying over and over again, we don't want to burn any bridges. Thank you for staying. Thank you for giving us proper notice. Thank you for and you got to keep in mind, I was working just as hard, even though I knew I was leaving. I put all the time and effort in to keep the place going. I was even working to set up the next person who came in to replace me. So the way the RV business works is somebody will say they want to buy an RV. They don't leave with it right then and there. It's usually a week or two out before they can come back and get it. And that's when you do the contracts, do the paperwork, and then that's when the deal gets closed. So here I was doing work, setting up these deals for the next person that was coming in. So I'm working for the next guy for free. I wasn't getting paid for what they were going to get paid for. So knowing that I was doing that, I just was doing the honorable, professional, gentlemanly thing, which was to pay it forward, take care of the next person. Again, just asking them over and over again, please, Mark, Brett, Nick, don't screw me on my paycheck. Just please pay me for what I've done. Pay me for the work I've done. I leave. It took weeks to get my final paycheck. It was about a month, actually. In fact, there was a whole situation with that where they forgot to pay me, and there was a big story about that. And then I get my paycheck, and it's short, of course, just like I suspected that they were going to do. So they did some very dirty bookkeeping. I still don't even know how they came to the number. Never got a commission report. The one they sent me wasn't real. It was fake. It didn't even match what they paid me. So I had to ask for weeks and weeks and weeks. Where's my commission report? Where's the report that you used to generate my paycheck? Oh, we don't, didn't have it. And then they send me one. It's fake. It's not the real thing. It's missing all kinds of stuff. Long story short, I have the original report that shows what they were supposed to pay me. I know exactly what they were supposed to pay me. They shorted me $5,000. They are criminals. That's just all there is to it. I don't know how they get away with it. I don't know how they haven't been sued by everybody up and down the coast, but from north to west, west to east to west, north to south. But they are just terrible, terrible, terrible people, and you could see it as you were dealing with them on a day-to-day basis, just the way they conduct business. I'll give you an example. So when they're doing a consignment deal, they go in and they tell the customer that wants to sell their RV, here's what I think it's worth, here's what we're going to try to sell it for. No matter what, in every single case, once they get an offer, even if it's for what they were selling it for, they will call the customer and get what's called a concession. So they'd call the seller and say, hey, we need to get a concession from you. So what they do is they agree to pay them this every single time, whether it's needed or not. They call them back and say, hey, we can sell it if you drop to here. So they're totally screwing these people over every single time. The concession is not needed, but they do it to increase the profit margin. And they do it to take it, and in so doing, they're taking advantage of the customer. And I just saw that you need to hear what I'm saying. That tells you all you need to know about the kind of people these people are. They do everything they can in every instance, whether it's with the customer selling their RV, the customers buying an RV, or their employees. They're always out to try and shaft you, screw you, find ways to increase their profit margins at the expense of the people, whether that be the consumer, the employee, doesn't matter. I'm just telling you, it is in your best interest as a consumer to never, ever do business with Camping World or any of its subsidiaries. Now, I did write a letter. I was very gracious with the managers above, the GM, the regional business office manager. I gave them every chance in the world to do the right thing. And I would just wanted to read a portion of this here. So I sent the letter to Mark Sumner, Brett Garrett, and Nick Galanti. He's the regional director. And I said, Mark, Brett, and Nick, in our last text messages, I was extremely kind and forgiving, extending to you the most gracious of all possible scenarios, hoping that the best of outcomes would result from our final interactions. Alas, that was not the net result. Let's put this entire situation in its proper context. I was happily employed by Toyota Mercedes-Benz of Bellingham. I didn't need a job or a change. Some of this is going to be redundant because I just went over this with you, but I didn't need a job or a change. My position, production, and reputation were immensely secure. Mark Sumner called me out of the blue. I did not seek employment at your dealership at that time. We discussed your opportunity at length over multiple interactions. I was blunt, candid, and honest as I expressed my concerns with all of you regarding your company's reputation within the industry for rigging the pay plan against the business finance manager. I pointed out multiple details that defied logic and were clearly unethical, like charging a business finance manager for chargebacks for which they had never been paid, amongst other unscrupulous accounting methods. Mark assured me that he had control over the situation, over his store, he loved calling it his store, and could protect me from such abuses. Brett and Nick agreed that they were different than other companies, but that most high performers were able to outpace the rig system. While still skeptical, I chose to trust you gentlemen. I worked with mostly Brett and Nick through Brett to reach an agreement that included no chargebacks for a minimum of the first 3 months and a 12% top-tier pay plan for production that exceeded a 3.5 product index and the overall target PVR for the department of 14.5. These are really weird metrics. I'm just telling you right now that in the industry of finance and business management for dealerships, this is literally the weirdest way to pay somebody, and it's designed, again, so that they could play with the accounting and screw the people. That is just the way it is. It's just, that is it. During my month of employment, I hit a product index of 3.65 and a PVR of over 17.38. So I had to hit 14.5 was the base, 17.38 was where I hit, and I was well above the 3.5 product index within the department. Even while transactions like the internal purchase of a shop truck were still counting against me on the reports. So they took in a trade, the shop bought the truck. I had to, of course, do the paperwork for that, and they counted the shop truck purchase against me. Once again, trying to rig the report so that they could pay me as little as possible. I'm just saying that that's the norm. It's not an accident. It's not a mistake. It's what they do. An error that Mark, we called it an error, that Mark assured me would be corrected. Never got corrected. At the end of the month of September 2025, I earned the top pay tier of 12% of the finance department's total gross. And I'm not going to state that number just for the purposes of disclosure. Just to be clear, I came into a finance department that was a mess. Everyone knew it. The salespeople, the people in the business office upstairs, the sales managers all knew what I'd walked into and thanked me for taking on a huge task. I quickly cleaned up the department while working hard to make it something better than it ever was before. As an example, I did many things to fix deals that were there before my time, deals I was not paid to complete, but I got them corrected and or finalized and funded for the store, all the while never complaining about cleaning up messes left by other people. I just got the job done quickly and efficiently. During the month I was employed in your business and finance department, I worked my deals and produced nearly a lot per copy, something they'd probably never seen before at that store, for sure at that store. A copy on those with whom I directly interacted. After deciding to accept another offer for a position with a different company, I continued working very hard, setting up future deals for the next finance person so that they would have a healthy start to their career with you. Deals that I also would not be paid anything for preparing. I could have left right away. They were begging me to leave right away, just come get started. Being offered a position at a different dealership who wanted me to start immediately, but I chose to stay and help the RV Washington, aka Camping World team, with the transition. I was a man of my word, I did the honorable thing, and I stayed to help. In return for staying the 2 weeks and giving you my full effort toward the next month and the next finance manager, I only ask for one thing. Please don't play any games with my final paycheck. Please be honorable men of your word, do the right thing and pay me for the work I performed, which would include all the deals where I sold products and completed the paperwork. There was one deal that we discussed several times in great specificity, and I'm going to leave the name out. This customer had been a deal that started back in August. This was the month before I started. I was handed the deal and asked to reel her in, get her scheduled, closed her on the products, closed the deal, sent it in, got it funded. A deal, I'm going to leave the numbers out. I did that. That was entirely the result of my effort. I did everything correctly, including packaging the deal for close of business in September, and even September was the month I was there. And even had her come in 3 separate times to sign docs and try to do her walk so that the third-party delivery could be scheduled. She was having her RV delivered. She wasn't going to hook it up and take it. So it was a very simple process. She was happy to just sign off on it so that the deal would be considered closed and completed in the month of September. Again, to cook the books, they kept putting her out. She was extremely frustrated with how poorly the completion was being handled by a service, requiring additional effort on my behalf to smooth over relations between and RV Washington. Once again, I was successful. In the end, she was 100% committed and invested in doing her walk, and fifth wheel was delivered as promised. As you know, your service department was in a state of turmoil over the recent mass firings, relocations, and announcements that the entire Camping World service department and retail store was being permanently closed. That's going to be the most interesting wrap up on this video. Just wait for it. This clearly added to the already inexcusable delay. So in the midst of me being there, while I was there in that month, Camping World announced that they were going to close their entire retail store down and that whole giant service department building. They were shutting it all down. The only thing that was going to stay open, allegedly, was RV Washington, our small little service department for doing deliveries, and that was pretty much it. Everything else was going to get sent down to Marysville to the new mega store that they have down there. So this mass firing and telling everybody you're all out of here was a big bit of drama that was going on. Added already inexcusable delays or stalled final work walk, and so this clearly added to the already inexcusable delays that unnecessarily stalled the final walk and delivery of Mrs. Fifth Wheel for over 2 months. On every one of my final days there, Mark and I talked about that deal and the fact that I was concerned there would be an effort made to screw me on that deal, which they did. You, Mark, looked me in the eyes and gave me your word that this would not happen. You, Mark, because I know you're going to see this. You looked me in the eyes and gave me your word that you would not let them screw me on that deal or any deal. But you didn't do a damn thing, did you, Mark? No, you didn't. That's all right. Karma's a bitch, isn't it, Mark? You assured me that you would make sure no such thing ever happened, or such thing happened, or was even possible. That it would count for September as it should have and would be included in my paycheck. You gave me your word. Unfortunately, this was not the case. Well, to be completely fair, I still have not received a commission report, so I can only assume that this was not the case since my gross pay was $5,000 short of the required I earned and was owed, which means that deal and who knows what else was excluded from my commission numbers, lowering my levels, blah, 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 blah. I'm going to give you gentlemen in RV Washington, aka Freedom Roads LLC, aka Camping World, one opportunity to make this right and pay me the $5,000 earned commission difference you still owe me. If you continue to choose not to keep your word and do the honorable thing, I will use every legal method available to me to expose you. The problem with things like this is that this is just a pittance. So I can't hire a lawyer. No lawyer's going to touch this. They're not going to bother with it because it's too small. It's a nothing burger. And I really don't even know that the state of Washington will help, although I'm working on it. The reality of this is, and this is how the whole thing wrapped up, and I'll end with this. They brought somebody else in to fill my position. He probably got paid, he or she, don't know, got paid for the deals that I did. They probably used that to sweeten that pot if they paid him or her, because I don't know, they probably screwed them too. It's the way they do business there. And then within a couple of months of all that, they shut the whole store down. All of it. Mark Sumner got fired. Karma. All of them got fired. I think they kept 3 salespeople and sent them down to Marysville. The store is toast. I cannot, once again, more strongly recommend and encourage you to never, ever do business with Camping World. Don't buy an electrical strip from them. Don't buy an RV from them. Don't take your RV there for service. I'm just telling you right now that they are not an honorable and trustworthy company. They will take advantage of you, just like they've taken advantage of countless thousands of people, including myself. So whether you're looking for a place to work, don't work there. I promise you, it'll be misery, absolute misery. I met many people in my month that I was there internally that were just absolutely straight up miserable. Unfortunately, some of them lived in an area where there wasn't a whole lot of choice. That was the only place you could really work and make a decent paycheck. Again, probably not getting paid what you were supposed to get paid, but I digress. And whatever you could do to avoid doing business with them, I would drive 100 miles to avoid going to a Camping World or one of its subsidiaries. I hope that you can understand that generally speaking, this channel, RV Pro Tips, is not for this type of a production. I never want to have to do this. I'm not here to bitch and complain. I'm not here to trash and say things about other people that are. I just not the way I like to do things. This is supposed to be a super positive place. This is where I just want to come and have fun, talk about fun things, enjoyable things. There's so much to life that life gives us that is worth celebrating. At the same time, I care about my people, and you need to know that this is shared with you with your best interest in mind. Lastly, I'd like to ask that if any of you who are watching this have ever had a bad experience with Camping World or one of its subsidiaries, either as a consumer or an employee, please drop a comment down below, and preferably a way of me to reach out and contact you. I'd like to hear your story. I just want to know if there's anyone else out there who's willing to speak up and warn people for their own good. Until next time, this is Jeremy Petros with RV Pro Tips, signing off for better days and sunny rays. See ya on the other side.